Welcome, if this is your first time watching Who Remembers, the series where we discuss and break down my thoughts on games that are at least 10 years old or older. Some we are revisiting, and some we are playing for the first time. I'll try to keep it mostly spoiler-free by avoiding any major plot points. So let's get started. When I look back on GTA 3, I remember it being the sole reason I wanted a PS2. It was one of those games that the older brothers of my friends would play, so naturally I thought it was cool and wanted to be a part of it. I still remember sitting in my room plotting over how I'd convince my mom to buy it for me, all because of that little M for mature rating on the bottom left-hand corner of the box. Even if I somehow tricked my mom into buying it for me, labeling it as a racing game or something, I still had a 50-50 shot that the GameStop employee would convince my mom not to buy it. I can still picture my mom's face when I asked her to buy me GTA 3 for Christmas. I remember always using the term GTA instead of Grand Theft Auto. Unfortunately, my mom can read, and she said, "Grand Theft Auto? That doesn't sound like a game you should be playing." I simply replied, "Oh no, it's just a car racing game." Somehow, someway, it seemed to work. And later on that year for Christmas, I was pleasantly surprised to receive GTA 3. I was shocked. It worked. I pulled off the greatest heist of my childhood by getting my hands on GTA 3. Now with that short synopsis out of the way, let's get into this episode of Who Remembers Grand Theft Auto 3. Originally released in 2001 by Rockstar North on the Sony PlayStation 2. GTA 3 follows the story of Clyde, a notorious bank robber in his journey from the ground up to becoming one of the largest criminals in all of Liberty City. The story begins with Clyde getting screwed over by his girlfriend, Catalina, who sets up Clyde during a bank robbery in Liberty City.
Sorry, babe. I'm an ambitious girl. You're just small time.
Clyde is left for dead only to be arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison. During a police transfer to a prison in Portland View, Clyde actually manages to escape with fellow criminal 8-Ball. Clyde and 8-Ball head to an old safe house to hide out from the cops, and eventually introduces him to Luigi, a sex club owner in the city with ties to the mafia.
Say hello to 8-Ball, ladies.
8-Ball's got some business upstairs. Or maybe you could do me a favor. One of my girls needs a ride, so grab a car and pick up Misty from the clinic, then bring her back here. Remember, no one messes with my girls. So keep your hands on the wheel. If you don't mess this up, maybe there'll be more work for you. Now get out of here.
I never knew this back in the day, but Clyde actually has ties to GTA San Andreas. He used to own a garage in San Fierro, but lost it to the main protagonist in San Andreas, Carl Johnson, in a street race. From there, Clyde and Catalina would go on the run for 9 years robbing banks throughout the US, including Texas and New Mexico, before actually making it to Liberty City. Small world. All these small details went right over my head as a kid. I guess I was distracted by hookers and cheat codes. I also remember the city feeling much larger than it actually is upon replaying the game. The feeling of freedom to do whatever you want in GTA 3 was so groundbreaking to me as a kid. Many others tried to create an open world, but GTA laid down the foundation of a true open world. It was so hard to wrap your head around at first. I didn't even have to play the story if I didn't want to. If I wanted to steal a car and run people over, I could. If I wanted to get the highest wanted level and see how long I could run from the cops, I could. If I wanted to pick up a hooker and steal all of her money, I could. The world was my oyster. Not to mention all the cheat codes were amazing. All weapon, full health plus armor, lower wanted level. Hell, you could even raise your wanted level if you're about that. You had a real sense of freedom. I used to love finding my favorite cars, changing the paint color and parking them at all my different safe houses. The series would go on to bigger and better things in terms of variety of vehicles and customization, but this was the blueprint. Before I go any further, I wanted to point out I'm aware of the PS1 and Game Boy versions of the earlier games like Grand Theft Auto 2, but I'm sorry, those games are trash. I really tried to get into them as a kid, but the top-down view and gameplay really didn't work for me. Plus, those titles never really broke through the masses like GTA 3. GTA 3 put the series on the map and was a huge part of the success of the PlayStation 2 as a whole. So far, we've talked a little bit about the story and some of my favorite gameplay elements, but now I want to talk about some of my favorite characters. Let's start from the beginning. 8-Ball is basically the first character we meet, and he's an expert in explosives and just simply blowing things up. He introduces Clyde to Luigi for his first job out of prison. Luigi is the owner of Luigi's Sex Club 7.
Wait here, man, while I go in and talk to Luigi.
Say hello to 8-Ball, ladies.
8-Ball's got some business upstairs. Or maybe you could do me a favor.
Not a great name for a business when you've denied allegations of being a pimp, but anyways, I digress. Luigi is an associate of the Leone family and connects us with the local prostitute Misty and garage owner Joey. Not a whole lot to say about Misty. She's in some of the earlier missions and most notably introduces us to Joey. Joey's a mechanic who owns Joey's garage. Apparently he is voiced by Michael Rappaport, which is hilarious and makes sense. I never picked up on this as a kid, but I also don't think I knew who Michael Rappaport was at the time. Joey is actually the son of Salvatore and has no desire to take over the family business. Honestly, he's one of my favorite characters. He always seemed really chill and just kind of laid back. Plus, he's working on really cool cars in his garage.
Anyway, he's got a noodle stand down in Chinatown. That rat has sold his last stir fry. I want you to take him out. If you need a piece, go around back of Ammunition opposite the subway. Sort yourself with a 9. You know where it is, right? Well, remember, just watch your back in Chinatown. It's triad territory.
Next, we have Tony, who is basically next in line to take over as the new Don of the Leone crime family. This is where our ties to the Mafia really take a step up. I always really liked Tony's house, with all the Italian flags hanging over his driveway. It really stood out to me as a kid. And he had some great missions, including setting up the meeting with Salvatore.
Then get Luigi from his club. Come back here and pick me up. Then we'll all drive over to the boss's place together. Those triads, they don't know when to stop. They want a war, they got a war. Now get going.
This is actually our first opportunity to meet and talk with the Don himself, Salvatore. Well, I mean, Clyde doesn't actually talk, but, well, you know what I mean.
I see nothing but good things for you, my boy.
Remember the casino in Las Venturas in San Andreas? Well, Salvatore actually owns it and makes an appearance in 4 missions with Carl Johnson. Eventually, they have a falling out and he actually tries to take out Carl, and then Salvatore leaves Las Venturas and moves back to Liberty City. One of our first missions with Salvatore introduces us to Maria, the Don's wife.
Well, you don't think I hang around here for the conversation, do you?
Get in the car and keep your big mouth shut. Take the limo, but bring it back in one piece, you hear me? And watch her. She can be trouble.
Yeah. I'm sure your new lapdog has everything covered. And isn't he big and strong? Hey, Fighter, let's go visit Chico and get some party treats. He's at the rail station at the Chinatown waterfront, I think.
Their marriage is pretty rocky at this point, and Maria is also struggling with drugs. Maria plays a big part in GTA 3 and getting Clyde out of Liberty City before Salvatore attempts to set him up. Clyde really cannot catch a damn break. Anyone he gets involved with seems to turn their back on him.
Okay, she's an old friend. It's Asuka. She's someone we could trust.
Come on, enough of the speeches. We better get out of here before we get more hysterical Italians wanting less friendly reunions.
Once we make our escape to Stratton Island, Maria actually introduces us to Asuka, co-leader of the Yakuza. Asuka returned to the US to help manage the Yakuza with her older brother, who is eventually killed by Tony years later.
But first, you must prove to me that your ties with the Mafia are truly broken. Salvatore Leone will be leaving Luigi's in about 3 hours' time. Make sure he doesn't reach his club alive. Meanwhile, Maria and I will catch up on old times.
Oh, Asuka, you've got a massager.
That's not a massager.
Now Asuka and her brother Kenji have taken control of the Yakuza and bring Clyde on board to take out Salvatore, once and for all. This would be a very long video if I talked about every character, so like I said in the beginning, I'm just going to talk about some of my favorites, so we will end with Kenji, Asuka's brother. Kenji is the co-leader of the Yakuza and proud owner of Kenji's Casino on Stratton Island. Kenji offers some of the more difficult missions in GTA 3, one being Grand Theft Auto. Clyde must collect 3 rare race cars and deliver them to a garage near a car park, under the required time limit without any damage. Plain and simple, it's a pain in the ass.
To repay his kindness, the man's weakness is motor cars, and he has requested that we acquire him certain models for his collection. Needless to say, we must give him the cars as a gift to repay the debt that I owe him. You must obtain the cars on this list and deliver them to a garage behind the car park in Newport. My honor demands it.
All in all, GTA 3 is packed with personality and charm. I love Vice City and San Andreas, but GTA 3 is where it all started for me, and really put open world games on the map. I really enjoyed revisiting Liberty City through the Definitive Edition. It still holds up very well in my opinion and is worth playing if you've never given it a shot. It's a great story with a lot of twists and turns, plus a lot of connections with the other games in the series. I'd like to end by saying thank you for continuing to support the Who Remembers series. It's been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy revisiting and playing some of these new favorite titles and sharing my experiences with these classic titles. Make sure to like this video and consider subscribing for more scenic drives down memory lane. Until next time, stay blessed.